r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What's something someone did that convinced you they were a complete psychopath? Knew a guy who praised his supervisor, called him a mentor. Not even a year later, the guy completely assumed his supervisor's life. Slept with his wife and incited their divorce, championed for full custody of his supervisor's kids, and had them call him dad. Took over supervisor's position at work. After the guy was so stressed with the custody battle he requested a different post. Wife got the house in the divorce, so all that too if I recall correctly. It has been 4 years and they are still in and out of court. One time when I was like 11 or 12 years old, a family friend asked me to steal pain pills from my grandpa in exchange for sex with her 17-year-old son. I didn't know what sex was at the time. I told my mom. At a daycare I used to work in, there was this stepmom. Whenever she'd pick up her 3-year-old stepdaughter, she was the nastiest lady in the world. We had to watch what we said to her, because any negative meant that little girl got punished. For example, we said she pushed another kid, and the stepmom gave this little girl a spanking. She used to do other weird things too. Like even though this girl was fully potty trained, she insisted we put her in a diaper before she picked her up. If we didn't, it was the first thing she did. Not like a pull-up either. An actual baby diaper. We were convinced it was just to humiliate her. She had this shit-eating grin when she would do it too. We told this to the little girl's dad, and he just never believed it. Then they came to pick her up together. Instead of this mean lady, it was like Mary Poppins showed up. Complete 180 attitude change. The next day. Right back to it. I was with my BFF and she wanted to go back roading with a couple of guys she knew. Sure, fine, whatever. We get in the Bronco and hit the dirt back roads while listening to music. All of a sudden the truck comes to a stop, they yell possum and run out of the truck. I got out because I thought they saw an injured opossum and I wanted to help. Nope. They wanted to stomp it to death, and they did, even with me screaming and crying. My friend tried to blow it off as no big deal. I told them to take me back because I wanted to go home, but they wouldn't. I had to sit in that truck with those jerks until they were ready to call it a night. I did everything possible to ruin their night, just so it would end, and I could go home. I've never seen someone take so much pleasure in violently killing a helpless animal that did nothing wrong. Editing to add that this was 30 years ago. Cell phones were about 2 years away. A 48-year-old man boasting to his mother-in-law about his enrichment after his wife's death. Yes, he is my father. Yes, my mother committed suicide. She went insane living with him. My next door neighbors had an extremely bizarre way of punishing their daughter. They would literally lock her out of the house for hours, naked. I never said anything because I was so young, but my parents never said anything either, even though we could hear her screaming. My older cousin went on a sobbing monologue about how he missed his late father in front of a group of people. Then as soon as they left, he smirked and said he wasn't useful while he was alive, but damn if isn't helpful now. The way she was able to instantly change her character whenever she was in front of someone else. She would turn on the charm and suddenly become the loving teacher that everyone believed she was, while behind closed doors she was the world's most horrific child abuser. It was almost surreal watching how quickly she was able to change her personality to be someone that everyone loved and admired. My estranged mother bought cats solely because she planned to kill them. She didn't want my younger brother growing up a pussy because he dared to cry over his goldfish when he was like 6. Also the weirdo, years later, threw the cat out into the street because she was tired of it trying to sneak out her legs onto the porch. Left it starving for several weeks outside to get hurt by other cats. And then by the time she let it back in, she threw it out again, claiming it pissed on her love. Whole time she knew she locked it in the bathroom without anywhere to use the bathroom, so she was just looking for an excuse because she didn't even give the cat a litter box. Every time I think about that cat, I remember how it really drives me to never consider her any sort of a family again. Story from a friend's relationship with her now ex-boyfriend. During some of their rough patches, he surprised her with a dog to try and rekindle the love in the relationship. When she finally decided to split with him, he threatened to abandon the dog on the side of the road if she didn't stay because he had no use for the dog anymore. He really used the dog as leverage if she ever tried to leave him. Back when my friend group were all 18 or 19, legal drinking age in the United Kingdom, we went to the city centre to get drunk. After going to a few bars and clubs, we got some food from McDonald's. One of my friends at the time threw up in the paper bag. He then saw a homeless man and gave him the bag, to which the man thought he had been gifted food and thanked him. My heart died a little, and from being too young and shocked, just left the scene with the group. My friend was the only one laughing. The others mentioned that was wrong and messed up, but he shook it off. Glad he's not my friend anymore. My last boss, a property developer, once told me in a one-on-one chat that on the weekend he had been watching documentaries about Hitler to learn about leadership. You know, how to get people to do things, motivate them. I wish to this day I'd had my phone on record. He also fired 40 people after COVID hit, and his personal assistant told me he bought a Rolls-Royce soon after. Last Friday of each month he and his mistress, who also worked with us, would disappear for the afternoon. His personal assistant told me that was when they went to get Botox, laser treatments, and so on. His business has now gone under. They were a manager and laughed and said something like, best part of the job that, after making a young female employee cry in a public meeting. More of a sociopath, but who I thought was my boyfriend was instead a married serial cheater. He had an affair baby. Meanwhile his wife was battling cancer. His family helped him to cover the existence of the baby. His best friend constantly cheats on his girlfriend, and they are going to get married soon. Devastating. Was having a conversation with a rich guy. He said that he and his grandfather had companies where they ventured into things like mercenary work, online gambling sites, casinos, etc. When I asked him whether or not he feels guilty for doing these shady things, he said that he doesn't care about commoners, and he outright said that he only cares about things which give him financial utility. He also added that his grandfather was going to give him control of the companies after he died, and not to his father, because his father was seen as too weak and soft to run the businesses. I'm assuming he meant that his father actually had empathy, unlike the two of them. I've taught a young girl who I suspect is a psychopath aged 4. Swearing, physical outbursts, biting, spitting, kicking, attacking other children out of nowhere. She put her baby brother in the oven, has tried to set fire to their house on numerous occasions, throws rocks at cars, strangled rabbits, ripped feathers from birds and killed them. An absolute unit. This was happening from before kindergarten age. She would openly share how she was going to kill her siblings by throwing them out of windows, running them over, pushing them in front of cars, etc. All avenues of help were useless. She would attack adults too. She was declined schooling, health camps, etc. The only option her mum had for help was to drug her into a zombie-like state. The rationale for her out of control behaviors was mum did drugs whilst pregnant and the child was wired wrong. Heartbreaking stuff despite numerous interventions. I would expect that she will murder someone before long and be institutionalized. She is 10 now and a major menace to authorities. When I was in 3rd grade, I had a teacher who was very strict, but overall a normal teacher. Except when it came to one boy. He had some kind of learning disability. It was harder for him to study, to speak, and we noticed that he was different from the rest of us. She could get him to write and do math, but he would stumble easily and make mistakes. She would scream and yell at him because she thought he could study but wouldn't. His attention was off. She would throw him around the room. We would all sit at our desks and cry, look down, while she was almost ripping his clothes. She was yelling, "I'm going to rip off your clothes, and all the students will walk past you spitting on you, because you have no shame. If you had shame you would study." The boy stopped going to school in a month or two. When I grew up I wondered why I never told my mom what was happening. I think at that age we all thought, if the teacher is doing this then she's right. My father-in-law was telling me about a kid he grew up with. He saw snap a dog's neck and throw it as a football for a joke. It was the serial killer Joseph Daniel Miller. Co-worker was flexing about the amount of people he had slept with to spread AIDS and how easy it was to convince them to do it raw. That is literally a felony. Motherfucker should be in prison. My mom's ex stabbed our family dog to death when they had an argument. I worked with a girl who scammed a guy for $10,000 in a green card marriage deal. She backed out as soon as he gave her the money. She had a teacup Pomeranian that her drug dealer baby daddy stole from someone's yard. Her grandfather leased a Kia for her, but after driving it for a few months she felt the car was beneath her and just drove it back to the dealership and left it there. I noticed several times where she would be talking to someone and her facial expressions and body language would be off, like the person would be telling a sad personal story and she would be smiling about it. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.